Good evening, everybody. Hi. Thank you all for coming. My name is Julie Reyes, chairperson for Community Board 8. We're starting the meeting 7 p.m. and we will be ending at 9 p.m. I want to thank Insect Academy Principal David Weisberg for hosting us this evening. And I also want to mention that we have cookies on inside, thanks to Barbara and myself, so please help us out. For the extraordinary circumstances attended, we have Ted Mars, Georgia Santiago, Omar Murray, will be on EC. The next point is this gallery session. Just to let the public know that the board meeting is primarily for reporting of the board members, staff, and elected officials. Non-board members who wish to speak at the general board meeting are requested to register by contacting the board office. We allow up to 5 minutes per minute per meeting, 3 minutes for each presentation. And the presentation should cover only matters of general issues, not personal matter. I mentioned this because we had some community people on our last meeting and they thought that they would never be able to speak. We can also attend our committee meetings where you will have more of a chance to speak and engage with the board members. This evening at the gallery session, we do not have anyone signed up to speak, but we do have two requests from our gentlemen and our council representatives who would like to speak ahead of time since they have very engagement, so we always like to hear from our elected officials. So I will give the floor over to Senator Dinowitz. Please keep in mind that it is a 3-minute segment. Thank you.
Okay, I will be really brief, and I thank you. I know that both Councilman Dinowitz and I both have to run to something else because it's crazy time of the year. So I really appreciate you letting me say a few words at the very beginning, and I will really be brief. Promise. First, I wanted to announce that. So I worked on this 4 years ago, the Henry Hudson Bridge toll rebates. I made a deal to get it into the state budget in the 2019 budget. It was going to take effect in 2020, and then lo and behold, COVID hit, and the funding source to allow that to happen disappeared. But it's replenished now. So here's what's going to be: if you live in the Bronx, if you have a car registered in the Bronx, and you have an Easy Pass account with money in it, you're going to get your Henry Hudson Bridge every time you go over it. It's going to be charged and then rebated immediately. So basically, if you live in the Bronx, you're going to get the Henry Hudson Bridge is going to be free. And this is something I worked on for a while. And I was so excited when we got the commitment, and then the pandemic hit, and I had to tell people, oops, the MTA doesn't have the money. But the MTA and the governor have both promised that this is going to be put into effect sometime in February, which is only 2 months away. So if you drive, I mean, personally, I try not to go into Manhattan, drive or any other way, but if you happen to drive into Manhattan and you go over the Henry Hudson Bridge and your car's registered in the Bronx, you will get that rebate. So that's really very exciting news. So people who do that every day will save like over $1,000 a year. So anyway, you'll be getting something in the mail letting you know about it if you have a license. And as I said, it will take effect soon enough. I want to thank those in the community who participated in our holiday canned food drive. We between Thanksgiving and the Christmas, Hanukkah, we delivered a lot of food, both to St. Francis of Rome, food pantry in Wakefield, and a really lot amount to the Kingsbridge Heights Community Center, not to mention all the turkeys. So thank you. And since I said I'm going to stay within a very short limit, I'm done, except to say to everybody, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, and enjoy the holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next speaker.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, I hope that's a yes. Happy Hanukkah, everyone. Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa. First, those of you who have been donating clothes, we are collecting clothes amounts. Thank you so much. There is a large need for clothing, especially as the winter months approach. We've been doing a lot in the community, but what happens at the end of a legislative session is all of these bills get crammed in and everyone tries to get their bills in at the end. So I do want to update you on just a few bills that are coming up for a vote. There's still language being worked out, so I have not made a final determination on all of these bills, but the ones I mentioned, I certainly encourage you to reach out. We're voting to ban solitary confinement next Wednesday. This is a bill that I've signed on to. There's a bill whose language is still being negotiated called How Many Stops? I have not signed on to this yet. There is still a lot of language being worked out about, and there are concerns about police stopping too many people, not reporting things, and there are concerns about administrative burdens. That's Introduction 586, and we're still looking at language on that. Many of you are interested in fair chance housing. This was a bill that would have prevented landlords and co-op boards from looking up criminal history of prospective tenants. There's been a lot of changes to this legislation, which I'm reviewing, including allowing for a look-back window of 3 years for misdemeanors, 5 years for felonies, allowing you to look back that far for determinations. There's still last-minute changes being made, which I'm reviewing. We're passing a package of veterans' mental health bills, including one of my bills, which I'm very proud of, which would require anytime you interface with a city agency and they are collecting demographic data, that all the city agencies and contracted agencies would be required to ask you if you've ever served in the armed services, and if that information can be shared with the Department for Veterans Services. And what this will allow us to do is it will allow us to identify who our veterans are more easily. That way we can provide them with all of the information they need about our city services, all of our mental health services that we are augmenting with our legislation. Lastly, the mayor has proposed significant budget cuts. We had a hearing yesterday, the finance hearing. These cuts are drastic and across the board. And I actually find them, besides being morally problematic, fiscally irresponsible. And just one example, we fund a great group called West Bronx Housing. They do tenant organizing. We provide them about $100,000. And besides keeping people in their homes, fiscally, they bring in over $1 million of federal and state funding. So we have to be smarter about any cuts and any investments we're making. I encourage you to reach out to me about any of the legislation or the city budget in the next couple of weeks. Thank you so much for giving me the time.
Thank you.
Question for Councilmember. Councilmember Dinowitz, you have been a champion of composting, not only in your district, but citywide. Could you give us the postmortem on what's become of composting and when it can be restored? This is compost education, engagement, outreach. You've been a champion of it, this community board has been a champion. And we really regret that this met the acts in the latest cuts. So can you give us the prospects for compost as you see them?
Yeah, and when Bob says that we've been a champion community board, in 2021, we were one of the few community boards to have curbside composting in the entire city of New York. And that was in part due to our partnership and the advocacy we did to the city to get that in our community board district. What the mayor proposed was a delay of 1 year of of the rollout of composting to Staten Island and the Bronx, so delaying that a year, and the elimination of community composting, which would eliminate over 100 jobs. I was at a rally last week speaking out against these cuts. Composting is critically important to us. The dollar amount is very small, but its impact is very high. So that's what we're talking about when we say more surgical cuts, not just across the board slashing of agencies, to say we should save programs like composting, which have long-term health, mental health, physical health, and fiscal positive fiscal impacts to our city. I don't know what the prospects are yet. We are still going back and forth and discussing with the administration what the cuts look like. And by the way, what our revenue looks like, because we projected additional revenue that the administration did not account for.
You can count on support from this community board for any negotiation going forward.
I know I can. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Next, any other questions before we move on? Okay, the next item is the report from the Borough President's Office. Is there anyone present or online? The Borough President's Office. Alexis? Alexis, are you unmuted? The one about, right? We'll move on to the report from the 50th precinct. Captain Pierce.
Hi. So mostly good news. So I'm bad at patting myself on the back, so this will be quick. But so for the current 28-day period, we have like a 24.3% reduction in overall index crime, 33.3% reduction in robberies, which is 12 versus 18, a 43.8% reduction in felony assaults, which is 9 versus 16, a 23.9% reduction in grand larcenies, which is 51 versus 67, a 16% reduction in vehicle thefts, which is 21 versus 25. That one's kind of the big one because we were up, when I first got here, we were up like 30-40% in grand larceny autos. So to have a month where we're actually down is really good. The only increase we have is in Bergs, 10 versus 6. I took like a really deep dive into these today. What we're really looking at is Sector Boy is up 4 versus 0, and those are mostly residentials and mostly unlocked doors. So we'll do some work on getting people to lock their doors and keeping an eye out, but I don't think we have a like a recidivist or a perp hitting multiple times. So that's good news, even though the number's up. I think a lot of these decreases are due to our moped activity really increasing. So for the current 28-day, we've issued 143 traffic summonses, 10 criminal court summonses, 6 oath summonses, and done 34 moped confiscations. I think that's helping us a lot with the robberies.
Thank you, Catherine. Does anyone have any questions for Catherine? Thank you so much. Good morning. Oh, someone said it. Is it a door number? No. I'm sorry, but only board members are allowed to exchange. Please contact the board office and we'll give further information. No further questions, we'll go on to Melina Gao, from the board office.
Good evening, everybody. Happy holidays to you all. I'm Melina Gao, Brooks Road Director for the Mayor's Community Affairs. I just wanted to come and share some information with you guys. One of the things that just happened is that the mayor did launch a task force to save affordable housing projects, and I really hired a national housing expert. And also there is, there's a lithium battery charging pilot. So just for the delivery workers. I know that there's a lot of cuts, but I still want to just assure you guys that I'm always available. And I will always make sure to connect with the agencies and continue to advocate and make sure that your needs are being met. Just to make sure, I will share my information if anyone wants to take my number down. It's area code 914-446-8393. But you have an amazing team here, and I always keep you there, so I just wanted to let you guys know. You don't have to do it. So, thank you all for coming.
Madam Chair, in stadium, anyone from Borough President's office would like to speak?
Hi, can you hear me?
Now we hear you, yes.
Hi, I'm sorry, I was having connection issues. Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to see you all. I just wanted to get on here to say happy holidays to everyone. And also to let you know that community board applications will be live soon. And we're hoping that the boards will assist in outreach and getting the applications out there. And tomorrow we are hosting a training with the Office of Management and Budget on CB budgets, paying rent, new offices, etc. So district managers have been invited to attend. Other than that, that's all I have for you, and thank you for the time.
Thank you. Good holidays. We will move on to the next item, so the elected officials. Is there anyone here from the district attorney's office or on Zoom?
Hello. Hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jumana Escalera, and I work for the Bronx District Attorney's Office. I am a community engagement coordinator. We have a few events coming up that we'd like to share with you. We have a re-entry fair that will be on January 30th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll be providing workshops, resume building workshops. We'll be providing suits, lunch. We'll have on-site job interviews. So if you know anyone who has been justice impacted, please share that information with them. And then we also have our first youth advisory meeting. We are hosting ages 14 to 20 in our office. Pretty much this is a chance for students to get the chance to speak to the DA, talk about gun violence and crime in their communities. So if you know anyone that is interested, please share that information. We're also looking to, provide certificates and things of that nature that can help students, get jobs later on in life. So please share that information. That is all that I have. Happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here from Senator Jackson's office? And we have representative from Senator Rivera's office, right with it.
Be really brief, we're excited to announce that we are bringing back satellite office hours for Riverdale. We're going to be starting doing it twice a month, meeting in January at Riverdale Wine. Stay tuned for further updates on the exact dates, but going forward, we are going to be going to things for Riverdale to make sure that we are accessible to PI. We are also always available at our district office at 2432 Grand Concourse. The office will be closed from December 18th to January 1st, but we are still reachable. The number of operations will resume on January. If you guys may recall, there was a tragedy that happened at a daycare facility in Cambridge of our district, where one of our child was away after we disposed of fentanyl. This Thursday, Senator Rivera, the member Alvarez, and Councilmember Sanchez will be having a press conference where they announced legislation to help combat that in the future and station that in the future. And happy holidays all.
anybody from council member Carmen De La Rosa's office? If you're on Zoom, if you can raise your hand. Anyone from council member Sanchez's office? Is there anyone here from George Alvarez's office? If you, okay.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. It's truly a privilege to be here tonight. I'm Stefano Perez. I serve as Chief of Staff and General Counsel to Assemblymember George Alvarez. Before I even get into our updates, I just wanted to say on behalf of Assemblymember Alvarez, thank you so much to each of you for all that you do. And community boards play such an important role in our community, and Assemblymember Alvarez is deeply appreciative for all the input that flows out of these meetings and the great work that is being done in our community. So thank you very much. Just addressing some of the action-packed events that we've had this just 12 days into December. We are participating actively in crafting our legislative agenda. As you all know, legislative session will start in January, specifically on January 3rd. But what we would ask our neighbors, what we would ask the community board, is if you have any specific legislative priorities that you would like Assemblymember Alvarez to take into consideration this upcoming legislative session, please let us know, either by emailing me or by emailing the assembly member directly, and I'll put my information in the chat so that it can be disseminated. But food insecurity is something that affects our district, the 78th Assembly District particularly, and all of the Bronx. So we've been working with POTS to find a solution and to also see what we can accomplish together, be it legislatively or out in the community. So we would implore everyone at this meeting tonight, be it through Zoom or in person, to please help us in those efforts. Also, housing. Housing, as Assemblymember Alvarez says time and again, housing is a human right, and housing is something that we see all too often being a very, very, very tough issue to deal with in the Bronx, and particularly in the 78th Assembly District. That is why you will see that our legislation that will be introduced this upcoming session will take that into consideration. Just wanted to thank the NYPD for their partnership with our office in meeting with the assembly member and providing periodic updates regarding crime trends, not just in this community board, but in the other community boards that we represent. And wishing everyone a happy holidays, and imploring everyone also to, if you have a couch, if you have a living room, if you have a gathering space that you would be willing to extend to the assembly member, we're doing community conversations with George all throughout the district, and he would love to come to you to speak with you about the issues that matters most. And lastly, we'd like to invite all of our constituents to visit us at our district office located at 2633 Webster Avenue. Thank you so much to everyone tonight, and I hope you have a happy holidays. And on behalf of Assemblymember Alvarez.
Thank you, Mr. President, as well. Is there anyone present from government that will council's office? There will some of those. Thanks. If there's any other elected officials present or the representatives that I have not called on, please raise your hand. We will move on to the next agenda, the chairperson's report. My report will be brief. The environment and sanitation position, the chairmanship position is vacant, and we will have elections in January. And thank Bob Musi. Thank you, Bob, for holding down for all this time. Thank you. If any of the board members or the community at large have a neighborhood newspaper, information, please let us know the board office, because we like to reach out more to the community, so that if there's any neighborhood newspapers that you're aware of, please contact the board office, so that we can start spreading the word about the work that you do here. Margaret Zanato, our board member who resigned last month, as I mentioned, we were going to do a certificate for her. She was invited to tonight's meeting. Unfortunately, she's still not able to come. We have a beautiful certificate that we're going to present to her, and she sends hellos to everyone. We'll keep keeping in touch with her, and hopefully maybe she'll come back for a meeting, because we would like to present her with more than just the. It's been 10 years on board, and she's very active, and she believes. Okay. So my last two items on the agenda, I had sent out resolutions to the board members. And I was advised that the resolutions that I sent out basically dealt, with procedural process. And I was advised that in the past, the process has been that we put the procedures into the procedural handbook. So I'm just going to wonder, and this is going to move the resolution to advise you that this will be going into the procedural book, and anyone has any questions, comments, objections, the further, yes. No. The first one dealt with transparency, and this is basically to let the board members know that if they're going to be involved in any situation where they're assisting any community residents or within the confines of community board meeting, they're acting as a board person, and especially if they ask for the board's assistance in facilitating a meeting between the member and the agency, that they must let the board members know the particulars of the situation. This is just a basic information. And one of the reasons that this is coming into play is because it's not in any procedural scope. A lot of us are being terminated out, so policy that's been passed on for years, the knowledge that we have will be going out. So we just want to set something in place so that the board members know what the usual policy is. Even though this sounds kind of basic, that if you are a board member and you're going to act as a board member, that you should let the board office know the particulars of the situation, it just needs to be put in place. So we're going to be submitting this into the procedural handbook. Does anyone have any questions? Because I feel like I'm going to answer. Any questions? Okay. The next one dealt with the authorizations or issuance of any official communications, such as certificates or writings on behalf of the board. Any documents, certificates, writings, communication that is coming from the board, has to have approval from the board chairperson, or at least the board officers, if the chairperson is not yet. And just to ensure that any communication that leaves the board office, that the board office is aware of it. We need staff to know the communication is going out, and why, and particulars to have on hand. And that goes with the board name and logos. So any question on that? And for those two will be put into the procedural guide. Everyone received a copy of the procedural guide, and one of them, you received two, a handbook and procedural guide. The handbook is 175 pages, I believe, so if you go to print something, just be aware it's 175 pages. The procedural guide, not so much. That's something like 14 pages. And this will be added into the procedural guide, and we'll update you when it is. And then I would say, That's it for my report. I just want to thank everybody for coming and thank you for the work that I know everyone was a lot of chairs and a lot of community members. Thank you so much. And we did have our party. I know you want to say anything, but I thought this is first official board meeting, so welcome aboard. And then we have Crystal, our intern, who's assisting us again. She's graduating. And please eat cookies because our district manager and I have all these cookies and we can't eat them. And I happily like to say district manager, to the community, because I always say Farrah and I, of course, I look at that number, but it should be saying district manager and apologize. So that's it for my report. Does anyone have any questions? And thank you all for having me. Thank you for that instructions. Now we go to the treasurer's report.
Good evening. On screen is the updated treasurer's report for December. Table 1 reflects personal services, update of salaries paid and balance rate. It also reflects an other personal services, OCPS balance of $19,517, which is broken down as further detail in table 1.1. Some recent purchases that are in the works include $350 to fix the office door lock and $165 in change for the permit. So we're waiting here in this academy. And we still have a $10,000 reporting account, which is a separate board of general holding. Let's get a 1.2 budget modification. As I indicated last month, we have unused funds available to transfer from PS OCPS into our 3-month period without community coordinator. So attaches addendum A is the proposed modification. It's going to move $4,000 from PS OCPS, which is showing exactly what object codes this funds will be placed into. And so as we read the table there, $2,340 is going to our general 100 object codes, general supplies, the category. Most of our purchases fall under. Another $1,600 is going to the object code 101 printed supplies. We have some product coming up. We want to make sure this category is funded. Finally, $60 is going to object code 403. This is to office services to reimburse their provide notary services to the public. You want to reimburse our membership dues, number of services. That's the breakdown in the proposed resolution language. It's on the amendment there. We did the current language. The office management budget has confirmed that funds are available to transfer from PS to the board's expenditure medical and ordinary. Whereas to support the working board office, the budget modification for fiscal year 24 has been prepared as below. Be it resolved, the board 8 approves the budget modification for the first support the board of community board office. And that's my report. Let's move on.
We're just going to roll call and switch it up a minute to a roll line. So we'll do a roll call now. Just to vote on this.
Sylvia Alexander. Here. Constant Barnes Watson. Here. Ruth Carberry. Bob Bender.
Here.
Carol Blake. Here. Christopher Calhoun.
Here.
Lee Chung. Here. Ingrid De Leon. Here. Marcella present. Robert Panuzzi. Nicholas Fazio. Stephen Fruit.
Here.
David Gelman.
Present.
Mary Ellen Gibbs. Present. Rosemary Dinton. Here. Dr. Gomez. Edward Green.
Present.
Emily Houseman is absent. Rashida Hilliard. I'm here. Robert Jankowski. Barbara Camp. Here. Rabbi Bob Kaplan.
Here.
Scott Coffinger. Josh Lynn.
Here.
Elaine Lobos. Here. Rita Proctor-Below. Oscar Martinez.
He'll be here in the 7th.
Okay. Charles Mertler. Joy Campbell. Joy Campbell Privateer. Julie Reyes. Present. Daniel Rowan.
Here.
Ramdot Singh.
Present.
Jessica Sosa. Here. Russ Walter. Here. Deborah Travis.
Present.
Sergio Villaverde. Martin Molko.
Here.
And then we have 4 who've requested EC. Do we have Jillian Baez? Let's see. Theodore Morris. Omar Murray. Yes, Omar Murray.
Present.
If you show your face as well, please. Georgia Santiago.
Omar, if you're going to be in the meeting, you have to keep your face available when you camera. Thank you.
28 present for 4. Exceeds the 23 required. You can see.
Does anyone oppose the proposed budget modification? Is anyone saying?
Thank you. For the next agenda, this is management report.
Good evening, everyone. As you can see, I'm the community coordinator, Artie has started. And I'm working closely with him, making sure he's getting familiar and comfortable with his job duties. We have set him up to take all the trainings that are needed, there are many of them. And I'm hoping that he can start using our FMS portal in the next few weeks. As Artie becomes more familiar with everything, I'll be assigning him to committees and will inform you when that is finalized. In the meantime, he's been attending and reviewing all the committees to see how they run. I'm happy to say it's catching on very quickly, and we'll be starting up the newsletter very soon. We recently had our first turkey giveaway event on Monday, November 20th. We donated 200 turkeys to organizations in our district, like PSA 1, Marble Hill Houses, 4th Independence Houses, St. Stephen's Church, the 50th Precinct, and Riverdale Neighborhood House. And we also gave to many residents that came to our office to pick up the turkey. There was a nice photo on the front page of the Riverdale Press. And I want to thank our board member volunteers, Julie Reyes, Chris Calhoun, and Bob Bender for helping throughout that very cold day. We have scheduled a Department of Buildings Constituent Services event in our offices on Friday, December 15th from 10 to 2 p.m. And all residents and board members are encouraged to come in and ask any questions of the representative that will be here. If we something that we see as popular, we can start with and arrange for more dates in the office as a resource for our community. We posted the flyer to the community as well as through the Assemblyman Dinowitz's office and through the Riverdale chat. We also have some flyers here if you'd like to pick one up or share with anyone you know who could use it. Our office just recently received 100 tickets for the Yankees for their Winter Wonderland event taking place this Friday. And I have reached out to 2 community organizations to use that for their families to attend. Children will receive a toy, hot chocolate, hot dogs, and will meet Santa Claus at Yankee Stadium. I've been reaching out to several community organizations, churches, schools, like Intact, to confirm if we can use their space to hold a full board committee meeting. We have secured several spaces throughout the district, and I'm making sure we hold them in all areas of the district: Riverdale, Kingsbridge, Grand Portland, Marble Hill, as requested by our chairperson, Julie. So please be sure to always check the calendar and agenda for the location of the meetings, since they are different each month. I'm gonna go over it. 20 seconds. As stated in the job requirements, staff is required to attend 2 to 3 meetings a month, one being the full board meeting. So I want to make sure that all of our committees are getting comfortable with having a member of their committee run their Zoom part of the meeting, since staff cannot attend every meeting. If you are a member, want a training, please reach out to our office and we'll be happy to accept training. Again, I'll let our chairperson, Julie Reyes, talk about the touring of office space that we've been doing throughout the month. And lastly, I recently held the district service cabinet meeting on December 5th, and we'll post the minutes to the full board shortly. The next meeting will be on Tuesday, January 2nd. Thank you and happy holidays. Yes, Maureen.
Just clarification with stay.
Yeah.
Donated the turkeys.
Yes, thank you to staff who did donate the turkeys to our office to distribute.
And we distributed them, we didn't donate them.
To distribute, yes, we made.
We said that we donated. We distributed the 200 turkeys that STAG donated to us.
Yes. Okay, yes, correct, thank you, yes.
And I think that the name of the 2
Organizations. One is the shelter in our neighborhood. And the other, if we're waiting to see how many they need. And if they use them all, then they'll get them all. But there's also Kingsbridge KHCC that are offering the rest to their families. Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Thank you, Bill. And we'll move on to committee reports and resolutions. We're gonna start off with Special Committee on Consumer Review.
Right here, Joe. No, it can take 10 seconds. We have not had a meeting. I hope to have a meeting in the next 2 months.
Thank you. The next report from Special Committee.
Please refer to our minutes. I also wanted to share a statement that Screen had put forth for consideration. And I'll read it just as follows. Bronx Community Board 8 proudly represents the diverse communities of Fieldston, Kingsbridge Heights, Marble Hill, Riverdale, White Daggle, and Grand Portland Village, who reside or work here, inclusive of all races, ethnicities, gender expressions, sexual orientation, age, religion, disability, national origin, and citizenship. We condemn bigotry, discrimination, or violence against any of us. Anyone experiencing discrimination should report it to the 50th Police Precinct where appropriate, and also to the Office of Community Board 8. As community board members, we abide by the Bronx Borough President's Code of Conduct and the guidance of the CBA, Community Board 8 Law, Rules, and Ethics Committee. Tone in the community starts with us, and we must always find ways to bridge our differences, agree and disagree without disparaging, find a way forward together, work fairly, efficiently, and judiciously, and remember to honor each other and respect intent and good faith as neighbors. That's something the Screen wanted to put forth. The statement, the initial paragraph that I announced or that I read, has been on our website for the last several years. It's taken a few iterations to just underscore how rich of a culture we have in Community Board 8, represented in a whole host of ways that I discussed and that I read in my statement. So we want to emphasize that certainly we heard from the mayor about actions and how the hate crimes or something that looks and feels like a hate crime has increased exponentially in the last 6 to 8 weeks in New York State and certainly in the United States and certainly across the globe. So we want to be cognizant of the climate that we're in right now. And encourage anyone to come forward who has perhaps experienced some sort of discrimination, and certainly violence has to go to the NYPD. So I think we anticipate that we'll have a meeting in January or February. I'm looking forward to working with the housing, veterans, and any standing committee certainly. We appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Special Committee on Veteran Services.
He asked me to speak that, please refer to the minutes, and we anticipate that there will be a meeting in January, date to come. And last thing, that certificates discussed previously will be tabled until the next meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll go to the next meeting, Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, sorry about that.
I'm Deb Travis, I'm chair of the Parks and Recreation Committee. I don't know where to say So, I bring my minutes for the details of our last meeting. I did want to briefly say that our last meeting was primarily focused around Van Cortlandt House and the Van Cortlandt House Museum. The Van Cortlandt House Museum has historically been run by the National Society of Colonial Dames of New York, which is an organization that has been responsible for the administration of the Van Cortlandt House Museum since 1896. That organization, the house, to be clear, the house belongs to the Parks Department. That organization does not own it. The organization, though, their membership requirements in order to be a Dame, as they call themselves, in order to be a Dame, you have to be a direct blood descendant of a person of prominence in the American colonies prior to July 1775. So, obviously, this presents some limitations on who could actually be a member of the National Society of Colonial Dames. And so it raised a lot of issues and concern for us as a committee about equity and who was getting all the shots, and making decisions about hiring and programming, and just general political students. So at our meeting in November, we had a Historic House Trust was at the meeting, and they discussed the role of the National Society of Colonial Dames or any of the other nonprofits that are responsible for individual historic houses. And then also their license is currently expired by quite a amount of time, so they don't have an official or formal relationship with the house other than the commission. So it's a good moment to ask whether this is the right organization to represent historic house in our district and in our neighborhood, our community. Also just issues raised by the community and by the general public about programming. The focus of the programming, whether the quality of the programming is adequate, and the care of the house and maintaining it as historic house. So I'm happy to say that in January, we got confirmation that the president of the National Society of Colonial Dames will be coming to answer questions that the Parks Department and Historic House Trust were not able to answer. And we can kind of continue the discussion. I think we're going to have a good discussion. So I'm looking forward to it. And then for you 2 minutes for all the other various details about the parts. I'd like to also be dramatically slashed. So, any questions? All right. I think public safety next.
Thank you.
You may want to leave the 3 minute. Okay, so what we usually do is during this thing, if some resolution, we try to bunch them together for a vote, but we're gonna do it a little bit different. because some of these things, some of them, I don't know. I think it's the best way to go. We have two renewal applications, one for wine, beer, and cider, and a for wine, beer, and cider, one is for Greek Express at 3733 Riverdale Avenue. The other is for Montezuma Mexican Restaurant at 119 West Kingsbridge Road. 50th precinct had no issues with these businesses. And I'd like to call a vote for both of these as. All right, is there anyone opposed or abstaining to approve these two applications for renewals? Seeing none, hearing none, so. Student. Okay, so we have a new application, a temporary retail permit for Sweet Billiards Court located 3004 Heath Avenue, and this is going to be a billiards place on Heath, and the owner signed a 2 a.m. closing agreement for the first year of business. The committee approved it unanimously. Is there anyone opposed for approving this application? Anyone but seeing one? Application approved unanimously. Okay, we had two applications for New Year's all-night permits. So I'm going to do these one at a time. So the first one was Spanglish, which is very name is Spanglish. It's Moguls Inc. And it's located at 6697 Broadway. They were applying for a New Year's Eve permit, and the 50th precinct had no issues with this. Captain Pierce, the commanding officer, and they are in favor of having this granting this place an all-night permit. So, is there anyone who? So we have a question.
Yes.
Okay.
Isn't that location the other end of the block of 503?
No, that location is all the way towards the city line. It's yeah.
Oh, yes, it's.
Yeah. So yeah, they didn't have an issue with that. So before the vote, does anybody opposed or want to abstain from approving this application? Unanimous. Okay, so we had another New Year's Eve all-night permit for Silhouette Restaurant Lounge Court at 5666, 5668 Broadway. And representatives of the 50th precinct stated there were 143 complaints about this location in the past year, including 3114 complaints, 39 illegal parking, 15 noise sidewalk, and 46 noise residential. So the precinct and the commanding officer, stated their concern about this establishment being all night. The commanding officer recommended that the permit be denied. So the Public Safety Committee voted to disapprove this application by a 5-to-1 measure. So we're voting on disapproval. So we approved to disapprove. So is there anyone, well, since we're going to disapprove, is there anyone who would like to either approve this application or first approve this application? I don't see anybody. What about abstaining? Does anybody want to abstain on this? Okay, we're unanimous. Wasn't talk about it. Go ahead.
Well, I'll just add that particular location, there is usually a lot of fights. And more towards 2-3 a.m. So all night is a pretty bad idea.
That's what we heard. And I actually forgot to add the robbery too.
Yeah, there's some. I've seen.
Okay, so
it's
we're on to our next one, which is, so we had a couple of false starts with these Office of Cannabis Management. We had a couple of applications for Office of Cannabis Management. These are the first. We've had a few that have dropped out at the last moment, but the first two came before us. So the first one is at 3547 Johnson Avenue, and it's for a retail dispensary premises license. So I'm just going to read it. It's self-explanatory. I hope everybody's read it anyway. Whereas Stella Boroco appeared before the Public Safety Committee on November 21st, 2023, to apply for a retail dispensary premises license at 3547 Johnson. She's presently a licensed pharmacist, co-owner of Riverdale Specialty Pharmacy. They have a lease for the store. The applicant stated that anything with the pharmacy conflicts with OCM regulations, she would apply for a dispensary license at a different address and return to Community Board 8. She doesn't plan on applying for any on-site or off-site retail consumption licenses. Always going to be inside smoking. Yeah, so and the business will close at 8 o'clock, and she states she's going to follow all Bronx Community Board 8 stipulations, which we'll get to shortly. And we approved this application by a measure of 5 to 1. So I'm gonna call
A point of information, sure, is this a medical cannabis or just recreational retail?
vote. She is a pharmacist. That's a good question, Steve. I don't even have the answer to that, to be honest with you, because I don't. It's not used specifically, I guess, for medicinal. I mean, I guess people can come in with prescription, but it's also, it would probably be both.
Says dispensary license.
Retail dispensary. I don't know if people can come in for with medical prescriptions. She is a licensed woman. But I mean, it's the application is for retail dispensary. But really, probably the medical business.
I mean, it might.
Okay, so the Public Safety Committee, any other questions?
Can I get the exact address again? Can you say?
Sure, it's 3547 Johnson Avenue. It's the it's right next to where the Blue Bay was and the Indian restaurant.
Mendy's, or you make some lunch.
Yeah, so when
Have to have one conversation at a time because this has to be oral, because we have to be out of here by 9.
okay, so the woman who runs the pharmacy.
I understand that. My concern is the fact that other stores there that cater to children, like Mendy's, is one, and I don't know what the proprietor is going to do to maintain insurance to the community that only adults are going to go in there. Okay, she's only going to sell to adults. Isn't it a dispensary where they deliver, you can't go inside the person? Because they can't put the sign out, they have to put the sign out. It's a dispensary.
It's a retail, it's not just a walk-in.
Whoa, yeah. Right. You have to at least check ID at the door, like any bar, right, like before you order a drink, you check. Correct.
All right, before we vote, do we have any other questions on this list?
Is this where the pharmacy is per se?
Correct.
So they're taking over the pharmacy?
They are the pharmacy.
So the, it's the ambiguous.
Yeah, it's the same.
It's my mother's pharmacy, I'm like, where? It's gonna be part of the pharmacy.
3547. Okay.
Will be from this location. Point of order.
Yes.
If there were to be a motion to lay this over, committee to find out answers to some of the questions. In the real world, what would that mean for these folks? Because sometimes someone's liquor license is expiring, they haven't started to do business in this game. I mean, I don't want to,
The community board has a set period where we can comment or make any recommendations to OCM. What that would mean would be that comment period would expire and we'd no longer be able to make a comment on what comes down on that. All right.
is that?
So we have.
She already has been, cancer in a medical form. She has a sign outside saying that she has it. So has she ever had?
No, she doesn't, not yet, that's what she's applying.
The CBD one. Well, so I want to know, is it a renewal or did she do it without a license before? What was her story?
It's, as far as I know, it's a new application, that's what she's applied for. All these are new applications.
Is this,
She has, CBD, not.
Well,
The biggest point, is that, she wants to stay at the application as a pharmacy. However, the Office of Cannabis Management may have an issue with it being a pharmacy, the way it is, and cannabis staff, retail. If that happens, the pharmacy will stay, right? And she will look for another site for the cannabis. And she will come back to the board with that, if that happens.
So it's a regular dispensary.
It's a regular dispensary. Retail, it would be regular cannabis retail.
It's very confusing.
Recreational.
Doing it already, so I don't understand.
This is her PhD.
Right.
She doesn't have.
Yes, CBD.
So what I'm hearing is that there may already, and medical dispensing of marijuana is different than the other law of dispensing for recreational use. So the person or the place may have had a license, or obviously did, or did have a, are you saying no? You didn't have a license to dispense it medically?
I think the distinction that's not being made is that she was probably selling CBD oil and that's C, and that's what we need the license.
Well, okay, so I think that distinction needs to be made because there's a big difference. And it is the law of the state at this point in time that marijuana or cannabis can be sold as a legal entity within the state of New York. You may object to it morally, however, I know that people object to the sale of liquor, alcohol within the state of New York, because they have objections to it. So I think that if we're not about to change the law of the state, what we are thinking about is whether to approve, as you would approve a liquor license, and you may object to the liquor religiously, because there are people. Obviously, religiously, they are not allowed to or approve of liquor, or you may disapprove of it morally. However, it's still the law, and your obligation is to stay within the confines of what the law is asking you to do, whether they are able to and have the right to, and they do not commit any crimes or cause a harm because of the way they're dispensing it within the context of the particular site. So I think you have to apply the same sort of judgment that you would use for a liquor license, and that seems to go through without any issues here. I think the cannabis thing just carries a little bit of a different connectivity to it for some folks, and however, it is still the law of the state.
Any other questions? So with that, I guess we'll have a vote. Those in favor of approving this application? Do we need a roll call? I think we need a roll call. Right,
Isn't it
right.
abstain and
No.
that's what we were doing before, or?
Little bit different.
Excuse me, Ed, we'll do a roll call. Go ahead.
So this is in favor, or this is a vote on the retail dispensary license for 3547 Johnson Avenue.
Yes.
Sylvia Alexander.
No.
Constant Barnes Watson.
Abstain.
Bob Bender.
In favor.
Carol Blake.
No.
Christopher Calvin.
In favor.
Lee Jones? No. Ingrid De Leon? In favor? Okay. Margaret Della in favor, Bob Canuzzi?
In favor.
David Drew? David Gellman?
Aye.
Mary Ellen Gibbs? No. Rosemary Ginsey? Aye. Edward Green?
In favor.
Rashida Hilliard? Yes. Robert Jablowski? Does he have? He's absent. Barbara Kale? Yes. Rabbi Bob Kaplan?
In favor.
Scott Coppinger?
Favor.
Josh Lance?
In favor.
Elaine Lobos? In favor. Rita Poplar? Oscar Martinez?
In favor.
Omar Murray? Okay. Let's see. No? Okay, Joy Campbell, previous year? In favor. Julie Reyes? In favor. Daniel Rowan?
In favor.
She's still not at risk. Ramdot Singh? Jessica Sosa? In favor. Laura Salter? In favor. Deborah Travis?
In favor.
Martin Wolfa?
No.
Ramdot Singh? Yes. Abstain. So, we have 21 in favor, 5 opposed, and 4 abstained.
I'm just gonna say.
Okay, we have a second Office of Cannabis Management new establishment license. For Pure Bliss Cannabis Solutions at 2734 Civic Avenue. And Adrian Christopher Velez and Frank Manganella. They appeared before our committee and read the whereas clauses. So 2734 Sedgwick Avenue, the residential building, it doesn't have any commercial space in it. It's a building, no storefront windows. There have been no public hearings or notifications to building residents that a cannabis retail dispensary is being considered for the site. And the applicants do not hold a lease at the intended location, which is one of the stipulations of OCM that they have on any applicants. So they don't have a lease, they didn't notify, or the building, residents were not notified, it's in residential building without commercial retail space. So the Public Safety Committee voted unanimously to disapprove this application. So, we are voting to approve or disapproval of this application. So I hope everybody's clear about that. Any questions? Okay, great. So, is there anyone who approves of this application? Remember, we're voting to disapprove. I don't see anyone, I don't hear anyone, so this is disapproved unanimously. Sorry, we have the exception for this. You're having your thing? Okay. No, okay.
What did you say was unanimous?
Order the resident is to disapprove.
Correct.
Look at the
Then we
screen.
have to all vote aye, and we have to be recorded as
So
voting
Mary
aye.
Ellen voted
For
for
this.
the disapproval.
That was on the other one.
No. No, 734, Silver Gap.
No. We all said we have disapproved it.
All right, well then.
That is a mistake, that is not on hand, and I don't know how that got up there. Right, to disapprove the project.
Okay, so it just needs to be edited.
Right now, we're voting on disapproving a residential dispensary. Everyone voted, no one abstained, Everyone versus approving then.
Yep.
Let's move on. We have a-
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Then-
Okay, we have, Public Safety Committee has a resolution. Do I need to read this, Carolyn?
No, everyone received these resolutions, right? Right. Okay, so we can pick the whereas, or therefore, and that's.
Okay, therefore be it resolved, in addition to restrictions already in place in the school, 500 feet out of the worship, 200 feet of youth facility, the Public Safety Committee recommends that recreational marijuana dispensaries not be sited less than 500 feet from community facilities such as homeless or migrant shelters, libraries, or parks. And be it further resolved, the Public Safety Committee requests that OCM extend the comment period for community boards to 60 days in addition to allowing one extension. And be it further resolved, the Public Safety Committee requests that OCM applicants be required to attend the Public Safety Committee meeting when applying for a license and returning to the committee for license renewal. And be it further resolved, the Public Safety Committee requests enforcement measures to close illegal cannabis businesses be taken immediately by appropriate city and state agencies in tandem with our elected officials. Be it further resolved, Councilman Midway, to the resolution. Do we have anybody who opposes this or on to
Opposed. I think it's too jumbled. It's too many things thrown into one pot.
Okay, we have one opposed, anybody else opposed or abstaining? Okay, so I don't know what the count is, but the resolution passes something to one. All right. We don't have this, I'm bringing, I'd like to bring this up for a vote from the floor, a resolution, because this came in from one of our businesses on December 5th. And it is the barbecue pit at 5788 Mosswood Avenue. Their license is going to expire on December 31st. The Public Safety Committee meets on the 19th, and the next school board meets in January. So if we don't bring this up now, their license is going to expire. So that's why I just bring something for do we have a motion to add this to the agenda?
Second. Anybody disagree or disapprove? Any abstentions? Okay, so you can bring it on the floor.
Okay, so I'd like to take a vote on this. 50th precinct had no problems with this, and the applicant has been operating in this community for almost 25 years. So one of the businesses, and you know, so does there anyone disapprove or want to abstain or vote on this? Any hands? No. Abstentions. Okay, so we got the next public safety meetings next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. That's the 19th. And thanks for listening.
Thank you. You can invite it to Chris. Transportation.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here stepping up as vice chair tonight. Kelly Buford is under the weather. So just a few things, and I'll try to zoom through this because this meeting seems to be humming right now. Our last meeting was November 15th, and the recording is available, of course, on the CBA website. Our next meeting will be next week on December 21st. City Bike is rolled out in the community. Maybe many of you have seen it. Several complaints have already come in both the board office and were voiced at our meeting. And on December 19th, it's been arranged for a walking tour with the DOT to review the impacted areas. The last item I have for you tonight is the street renaming, which came up at the last board meeting. And it's my understanding that you've got to bring this up at 2 consecutive board meetings in order to get this pushed through. Now, if you want me to read the whole resolution again, good, because I wasn't planning to. Anyway, I'll just capitalize it. For those of you that weren't at the meeting, This is a street remaining, and ironically, it's just down the street from where we're sitting right now. It's for a stalwart person of our, or a pillar of our community, businessman by the name of James Patties. And he owned both Kingsdale Echo that long ago before it converted over to Exxon on the south, it was the south corner of Tibbet. And on the opposite corner, he owned Riverdale Auto Cement. He's given back to the community back and forth, and we received on this committee many accolades regarding him, including one from former Borough President Fernando Ferrer. If you'd like to see what Mr. Patties looks like, as you come out of here, look at Riverdale Auto Clinic. There's a huge picture of him plastered at the front of that business. So basically, I thought I'd just get down to the nitty gritty here. Therefore, it be resolved that the traffic light controls east-west crosswalk located right down here at 230 and Tibbet Avenue be renamed James Jimmy Patties Way. Does anybody abstain or is against this street renaming?
Abstain. Abstain or oppose?
Opposed? Okay.
I just wanted to make a comment.
Excuse me. So Benuzzi, Jessica, what was your vote? Okay. And I'm also abstaining. Anyone else oppose or abstain?
David Gelman wants to make.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. About 5 years ago, when Sergio was the chair of the Economic Development Committee, I brought to his attention the idea that we had several community service award recognizing volunteer effort within the community. And I thought that we should do something along those lines for businesses within the community as well. And Sergio came up with the term the most valuable merchant award. But it was with Jimmy Patties in mind that I brought this to Sergio's attention back then, and then he implemented it as the most valuable merchant award. And so over time, in his passing a couple of years ago, the family came to the community board about renaming that corner. The old business used to be Tigerdale, to play on the SO Tiger at Riverdale was where the TD Bank is right now, and then he basically bought into the business across the street. He was a good guy. I've used him several times. I found him quite reliable, and many others had made that comment. So that's what I was thinking of with the most valuable merchant, and I was glad to hear when this came up for a street renaming.
Are we in the middle of votes?
No, I think it was taken on. Right, no, okay.
Just one?
No, I don't know that you got a count of opposed and abstained.
No.
Could you repeat for the record, please?
You were the only.
No, I oppose two, so I have three, so.
Could we please?
Yes, we're opposed,
Or I-
abstain, and Bob Newsy opposed. Anyone? Well, do you abstain? You abstain? Oh,
I'm not sure.
Actually, I'll vote, sorry, just because like, didn't they come to the last meeting also, the people that within the year? I don't know if it's fair.
He's within the year, as of this month.
As of this month.
2 years.
President, is there any other?
The only other thing I can think of is season's greetings from traffic and transportation to all
Thank you, Chris.
of them. Where does the mic go next? Madam Chair?
Those two pages, right next to you. Oh, wait, before, is anyone reporting for you? And Adrian?
Sorry, hold on.
I'm sorry, one quick point of clarification. Jessica, did you want to keep abstention or oppose?
I'll keep an opposition, just because I don't, yeah.
Thank you for the one cookies. 3 weeks. Our next meeting is on Thursday at 4 p.m. The guest speaker who was supposed to speak was from RSS, Riverdale Senior Services. That has been moved to our January meeting because they couldn't make it, both Zoom and in person, so. That's scrapped from the agenda. I'll send the adjustment to that. And that's it.
Thank you. We go down to David. Aging budget.
Yes, this month, all of your committees, will have on your agenda, because all the chairs agreed to, put it on the agenda, to remind everybody within the individual committees to come to the January meeting with your ideas for, budget for fiscal 26, which will start in July 25. Put your thinking caps on, and please come ready with some specific ideas of things you'd like to see in that budget, and not just, well, let's resubmit last week. Okay, so just put your thinking caps on. Okay. Thank you.
You can send it down to Sylvia. There's that, oh wait, economic. Joy, are you reporting for economics? Oh, yes.
It all.
Good evening, everyone. Our last meeting was on Tuesday, December 5th. It was a joint meeting with the Land Use Committee and Economic Development. This is the second consecutive joint meeting that we've had with Land Use. And for the last couple of months, the Economic Development Committee is essentially exclusively focused on the city of Yesler economic opportunity. And I want to thank all of the committee members, Land Use and Economic Development for giving their time into this very important ask from the city that we provide a recommendation to them about the city of Yesler opportunity. I said economic opportunity. These are not easy decisions, and this is not something that we're taking lightly, obviously, because there is COVID-2 meeting we anticipate having occurred. And we are going to do our part to advise you all as to how we want to advise the city. Okay, and this is not easy, they're not easy decisions. And in fact, when I was reading the 650 pages line by line, I thought to myself, anybody that wants to be a leader or work in city government at any level or any level of government at this critical junction, this inflection point on so many different levels, has to be commended and also committed. I don't know which more committed or committed. But this stuff isn't easy, but in any leadership position, and I commend you all, at a certain point, we are going, everyone in leadership is going to have to make a decision and a determination on the information that they have at the time. So again, we are willing and ready to take this to the end. So we will be preparing a resolution or our recommendation to advise you all and drive the recommendation that we will provide to the city. But because we made so much money doing this, we get paid so handsomely. I have another ask of you all. And that is that when we bring a resolution, presumably to the next full board, be prepared to make an informed decision. There's a lot of information floating around. Okay. And in the land of the blind, the one-eyed person is king. Don't let anyone reign over you, including us. We are going to provide you with the information. The joint meetings have been very informative. So if you haven't been able to attend, see if you can get the recordings from the office. Okay, fair, not in your head. Try to attend the joint meeting in January. There has been numerous analyses by very respected organizations, not lobbies, such as the Regional Planning Association, the American Planning Association, the Center for an Urban Future, the Urban Manufacturing Alliance, the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, the list goes on. So be prepared, be ready to take a stand, one way or another. We don't all have to agree. But this is a situation where it would be a shame if people had to abstain because they weren't sure. They haven't made up their mind. Again, we don't know what the resolution is, it's a work in progress, and ideally, we'll have a compromise resolution with the land use committee. I don't know, maybe that can happen, maybe not. But either way, we're determined to give you our expertise based on our knowledge and experience as an economic development committee. And we are going to be ready to present it. On a little bit lighter note, the Betty Campbell Adams Presiding Working Board nomination will be opening nomination period will be opening in January. So more information about how to submit those nominations, they'll go to the board office. We're going to have a nominating form that we'll have on the website to distribute the press release. But just keep that in mind and be ready to nominate your favorite person who has demonstrated not only outstanding entrepreneurial skills and business acumen, but also demonstrated a commitment to service. That's all I have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Nick. Can you come back to Sylvia, please?
Nick, I have a question. Those recent analyses by RPA, et cetera, do you have them and can you share them with us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Please do.
Thank you. Education, libraries, Sylvia?
First of all, I'd like to, have you refer to my name. Before I start, I want to, thank, Sergio, to the, mayoral, control meeting at the Buick Clinton last week. I was at Plainview and he attended. One question that I did ask him was there were a lot of teachers that were against mayoral control. And I said, well, what do they want instead? Before this, we had school board people, and that really petered out to not be viable. So I'm going to bring it up in my committee. We'll have discussions and we'll see where we go as to our opinion on it. As far as my minutes are concerned, I hope everybody read them. Dr. Christina Carlson was at our meeting. She lived across the street from visitation site for the school, and she tried to get answers from SCA and was always and also the board was always denied any information. So she and the two other people in the building that she lives in filed in Article 78, which is sets up the rules by which you can sue an administrative agency, which is the FBA and the council. So that was a year ago, and this year now, in October, the court, the New York State Supreme Court judge ruled that they had won the case. They now have to, the SBA has to disregard the executive declaration and perform an EIS, the environmental impact statement on the property before they can go forward. So right now, it is in limbo, and I hope that that gives us an opportunity when they do the EIS that we have some input at that time. We did not before. So I'm very excited that we have this opportunity. SCA went to the council and told them that the community board voted for it and approved it, which is not true, because we had it in the education committee as a committee rather than a public hearing, and that was in December of 2021. And that holds no legality at all as far as the judge is concerned. It's a 450-page document. I have only started it, and I have already seen that that was a mistake. The fact that the education committee voted as a whole for the community board, not was a mistake. And she actually cited that only 7 people were there from the community board, other than the committee. So that was wrong. And there are a lot of the council, the community council, education council did not even vote. And they went and they told the council that it was voted on. So all these things are negative as far as the whole process is concerned, and hopefully there'll be some sort of a new process that we're going to go through. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Sylvia, what is the council, you say the SCA informed the council of actual.
City council.
Oh, city council.
She sued the SCA and the city council. Because they voted on something which they didn't investigate, and we didn't know the reality. Naturally, the result was all the way around. And I'm hopeful that it will be okay.
Okay, thank you, Sylvia. We have 5 more committee reports and we have 20-something minutes. The reason, I know I was rushing everybody, but we're in a public school and we're time limited. Tonight we really are time limited. So let's just try to move it along. And I would like to end, we're gonna have an executive session and I would like to give you some information. So, environmental sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The residents of Kingsbridge need our help tonight. There was a resolution that will allow us to help them. We are addressing the construction ongoing on West 232nd Street between Urban Avenue and Tibbet Avenue. This has come to our committee because of concerns about groundwater and about stormwater. These are central to the work of the Environment and Sanitation Committee and fall under the permitting purview of the New York City Department of Environmental Protection. So the committee has put a lot of work into this, and I won't read through the whereas. Needless to say, this has become a very dangerous and problematic site. There are multiple buildings violations, one remaining partial. There is continuing flooding, and there is on neighboring properties, and there is really still unanswered questions about the viability of this entire construction project. So our resolution really has 3 focuses. The first focus is on the requirement for buildings to include a stormwater pollution prevention plan. This is really a critical part of maintaining the integrity of your water on your site during construction so that your neighbors don't get flooded. The neighbors are already getting flooded. DEP has not required this builder to file a stormwater pollution protection plan because they've been told it is under 1 foot, 5,000 foot, and because the site on which it occupies has been impervious for less than 5 years. So the whereas document contrary findings that document that we indeed do have a larger site, we found merged lots, and that it has occupied a site that has been impervious for more than 5 years. So we strongly believe that this warrants a permit, and we are calling on DEP to issue that permit to protect neighbors. the literally underlying problem here is that this building, as we do now, sit in the bed of Tibbetts Brook. This is a familiar landmark to many of you. We are spending $150 million to safely discharge that groundwater, that stream into the Harlem River. This builder is now required to, or obligated to, what's called deep water the bed of Tibbetts Brook, which is on my site. And because there is no sewer connection, they are proposing to siphon it from 232nd Street between Irwin and Tibbet to an adjoining property right next to. Could you please stop this so I may be able to speak?
About 1 more minute? We really.
But my colleagues are given ample time to discuss their resolutions.
But, yeah. Everyone was.
We'll call the question then, all those in favor? Favor. The resolution,
The resolution, which is obligating them to have a permit for the water.
stop work order, permit, and answer questions about the order. All those in favor?
Parks Commissioner.
All right, are we gonna roll call?
No.
Any opposed?
Can
I
we-
don't know.
Can we ask, can we inquire if anyone is
Yes.
opposed?
I ask for a
Abstain.
vote, all in favor? Opposed? Abstain. Thank you. No report, no meeting in January.
Thank you,
In
Bob.
December.
And Bob, actually, I'm sorry that I'm rushing.
Important issue.
I know it is, but I.
So did it pass? Are we?
Yes.
Oh, great.
We're done.
It's done. Unanimous.
Okay, next.
Health and hospital, I think I did that.
Thank you. I'll make it really quick. We had our last meeting on October 11th. We did not have a November meeting. We had a representative, you can certainly refer to the minutes, a representative from DOHMH report on the major vaccines that are being distributed at this particular time of year. That is the COVID-19 booster that is available for this particular strain. And the strain, from what we understand since then, has been growing in the context of New York. We also had a report on the flu vaccine and RSV vaccine. We will have our next meeting tomorrow evening at 7 at the offices of the community board, and that is my report.
Thank you very much. Catherine?
To our minutes to see what issues we discussed at our November meeting. There's just one issue I'd like to bring to the attention of the board. It is, as Nick told that City of Yes Economic Opportunity, a very, very large proposal. There's one sliver of it that deals with New York City Housing Authority property developments. And our chair suggested that the housing committee take up that one small aspect of a very large proposal, which we did. We contacted Ford Independence, Marble Hill, we spoke with their leaders, and we discussed that item at our meeting. Just to let you know, we didn't pass a resolution, I don't believe it was appropriate at that time, but to let you know the general tenor and the feeling of the representatives from the developments and our committee. A fairly strong opposition to the proposal. The proposal is to allow housing authority developments to put 15,000 square feet of commercial businesses in the ground floor of their developments. The feeling is it would change the nature, the residential nature of these developments. They're all residentially zoned. There would be truck traffic and deliveries to such sites. There would be refuse and garbage coming out of them, and signage is allowed, including illuminated signage. That somehow that would change. It's unnecessary and would be disruptive to the residential character of these developments. I'm sure you all know there's over 2,000 apartments in those two developments. So I want everybody to understand the general feeling of the housing committee on that particular issue. Our next meeting is December 20th, and we're hopefully going to have a very good speaker. And I don't want to say the name, but pay attention to our agenda. If we get this speaker, I think many people would like to come and listen to it. Thank you.
Thank you. It goes to land use. What's land use?
You've been nominated. Good time.
Experience.
I really good to be here. I'm sorry. As Nick has explained, the major issue that will be coming up at next month's meeting is what the board recommends with respect to CUPS. We already have, it's quite possible there'll be 3 resolutions, quite possible there'll be 1 resolution. We're meeting Mark Petro, I think, January 1st, certainly think we should day. We'll do a meeting. The 650 pages really cannot be a yes or no, because there are many things in it that are wondrous and things that are concerned. So we hopefully will come back, if possible, with a single resolution, and if not, 3 resolutions, hopefully not competing, but having different perspectives. And I'll leave it there. The resolution before us now, that was at the last meeting, concerning the completed school and wants to improve and enlarge its driveway. We looked at the material and we decided unanimously to support that resolution. Well, the resolution is to support their request.
Vote. Any questions? Any abstentions? Any approvals? So approved. Thank you. Law and ethics?
The resolution, 3 quick things. One is we've invited a representative from the committee on conflict of interest board. He will be at our February meeting and give us, I think, 15-minute stops to make the presentation. I've asked him to do that, bring us up to date. You know, I didn't yet. We know this is going to talk, people speaking about. Although I've asked the executive committee, and I've asked my committee, I asked you if there are specific issues you'd like them to address. Then please let me know and I will inform you of that. He will also speak at a LRE meeting, and we'll certainly give him more time. And I would recommend that advise everyone to tune into us to hear what he has to say and to provide questions and such. So I can remember one of them is. So I'm gonna turn.
Someone for each minutes. Okay, thank you. Okay, then the next is committees, right?
That's it, yeah. Discussion.
Okay, so now we're gonna go to item number 12, discussion of December executive minutes. We're gonna hold that over to January 9th board meeting. The minutes are not available at this time. So now we'll skip to item number 13, approval of the board minutes. The October 10th, 2023 minutes is still not prepared. So we're gonna have to hold that over to the January 9th board meeting. And we want to receive the copy of the November 14th, 2023 minutes. Approval of the November 14th, 2023 minutes. Yes.
I think that the
Yes. Okay, does anyone have any objections to that? Approvals?
Approving what? We're rolling over.
So table.
Oh, table.
14th.
Okay.
Any objections? Any abstentions? Approvals? Julie? Yes, are you rolling it over so that the board has a chance to make the correct, okay, yes. Okay, so we're holding over October 10th, November 14th, and the accepted. So we're gonna go on to miscellaneous business, yeah?
I'm gonna go to one thing that
Sure.
I have to say.
Sure.
We will receive today, not all, all the chairs received today, a memo from the board office concerning a survey we're doing concerning, extraordinary circumstances.
Yes.
Whether it either things work and it hasn't worked, and provide some input, so we'll already can discuss whether or not to continue or end that practice. So please respond, Steve is sending over the material, and he will accept it for a report to LRE, and then we'll report back to the board.
Thank you. They should have done that by. Okay, miscellaneous business. Our next meeting is January 9th, 24. No miscellaneous. So I make a motion to go into executive session based on open law 5H, proposed acquisition of real property. Okay, anyone opposed? Abstentions? Approved. Okay, I want to thank everybody who has attended so far. For those of you online, we're going into executive session. You can either go into the waiting room and wait for us to come back to have a quick discussion and then adjourn the meeting, or you can leave now and we wish you a happy holiday. Thank you. Can I just start? Okay, so we have a resolution, we're back in session. So now we're going to go to item number 17, and I have a resolution. I'm not going to talk over here, please.
Chair, the floor.
I'll make the resolution bigger. Okay, from discussions, we discussed 3 sites. I would like the resolution that that's for the board advises that we can move forward with sites number 3 and 2. Any discussion? Okay.
Just one quick comment. So if we put forth 2 sites for DCAS to look at, my only concern is that we prefer site 3, I guess, at this, okay, I'm not out of exact any. So, if that one's being the case, and we prefer one over the other, we want to make sure that option is explored first before the second one is in us giving up approval.
Oh, we'll come back. There won't be a blanket approval. I have to come back to everyone. And also, let's say they're in negotiations, will also be an opportunity for you to take a look at the site as well. We just did a look over, and then if it gets closer to the deal, we'll make an availability so that the board members will take it as well.
I'm just thinking one might be available for the other and might not be.
Well, that's what we have to vote. Then we'll get to that then.
My understanding of this question is, can we prioritize the 3rd space so that DCAS goes in knowing that that is our first choice with whatever they're doing.
Okay.
So if one space is available a day early, they can without waiting by our.
So by show of hands, who prefers, I want to say, question. Yes, I want to know, do you know the difference in the square footage of each site?
It was on the.
Yes.
1,500, 1,800, 1,900.
Excuse me?
1,900 and 1,600.
What's the question? Right, that, we haven't even got there. Right now, it's just the building and the location. Which one was the larger one?
The 3rd one, the preferred one.
And what about transportation? But excuse me, we cannot name, please do not name the locations, okay? The 3rd one, in terms of transportation access. All of them are very near transportation. They're all equal except for number 1. Number 1 is just a few blocks, but honestly, they're all the same. All right. You can thank well for that.
I don't think all of our hearing.
I want to just focus number 3 first. Okay, well, let me just do this count. Who prefers number 2 first? I'm doing, hold on a second, Rita, I'll be right with you. Who prefers number 2? Who prefers number 1? This is not a vote, I'm just getting consensus, okay. Rita? Number 3, number 3.
The other side street park.
Okay, so now,
At 75, it's easy.
so now, any other questions? Okay, so now I'm putting up the resolution that we let DCAS know that we want number 3 and number 2 in that order.
Yes,
They're
yes.
both of them at the same time. I'll talk about number 3 and number 2.
That's strong preference for.
Yes. Okay, anybody object to that?
No.
Okay, any abstentions?
Nope.
And then I'll also let them know that they still will continue to look for other sites. Because Rosemary knows and Laura knows, you can have a site and then it's just gone. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's all in one resolution. Anybody object?
Yeah, is there anything we can do?
But I have
just
to finish. Anybody object? Anybody abstain? So then we're all, okay, good.
Okay, if this opportunity come and go, I would like us to, like, how quickly can we move forward? Are we waiting till January? What if they change their mind? Time you
Teach you about it.
Okay.
Good.